Okay, we're going to be working on lesson 210 today, and we're going to be working on expressing percents of change. So it's a percent of change, or percent change is what it's called, okay? So first thing you need to know about it, it expresses the amount of change, I know, percent change, so expresses the amount of change as a percent of the original amount, okay? Now, there are two types. You can either be going up or you can go down. So we have percent of increase or percent of decrease. Okay, now there is a proportion. So this whole unit we've been doing proportions, and today's no exception. We're still going to be working on our proportion work. And so we have another formula. So the other day we talked about is over of equals percent over 100. Today we're going to talk about the difference over original equals percent over 100. Okay, all right, so let's take a look here at our first example. So the directions say, tell whether each percent is an increase or decrease, then find the percent of change, round to the nearest whole percent. So we're going to have a whole number as our final answer. All right, so when I'm looking at this, first thing you're going to do is you're going to tell me what's going on with these numbers. Are they going up or down? So if I start with 41 and the new one's 25, is that percent of increase or percent of decrease? So in this case, it's decreasing. So I'm just going to kind of percent of decrease. That's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to tell us if it's going up or down. Okay, so now on the proportion that we just wrote, difference over original. Okay, so when I'm looking for the difference, I am going to subtract. We know that difference means subtraction. So we're going to subtract these and get 16. It does not matter in this case if the top number is bigger or smaller. We don't worry about positives and negatives. All we're going to do is find out how far apart these guys are. Okay, so we know they're 16 units apart. So now we're going to write our proportion. Difference, 16, over the original amount, which was 41, equals what percent out of 100. Okay, so now that you have that, you're going to go ahead and cross multiply, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put a note here off to the side just so you remember where this comes from. This is where we're going to take 41 minus 25. Okay, that's how we're getting that. Okay, all right, so we're going to go ahead and cross multiply these, and we're going to end up with 1,600 equals, on the other side there, 41x. So I'm going to now divide by 41. So 1,600 divided by 41. And x equals 39.02 when you put that in your calculator. Now, it does say round to the nearest whole percent. So if I'm looking here at the 0.2, 0 is not going to push this up to a 40, okay? So if it's 5 or above, it pushes it up. If it's 0, 1, 2, or 3, or 4, it leaves it the same. So in this case, we're going to end up with 39%. Okay, so what this is saying is it's decreasing, so it's going down by 39%. Okay, all right, let's try the next one here. So we're going to do the same thing. Find the difference. Oh, actually, let's talk about is it increasing or decreasing first. So if I'm looking at 7.45 and I'm going to jump up to 8.8, that would be percent of increase. Okay, so now difference over original. So let's find out how far apart these are. So we're going to take 8.8 minus 7.85 and get 1.35. So difference 1.35 over original 7.45 equals x over 100. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. So I'm multiplying by 100 there. I'm going to move my decimal over 2 spots and get 135 equals, and then over here, I'm going to take 7.45x, and now we're going to divide by 7.45, and we're going to end up with x equals 18.12. So again, this is not going to round it up because it's 18.1. The 1 doesn't push it up. So x is going to be 18%. And that's how much it's going up by. Percent of increase is 18%. Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and I want you to try example 2 on your own. However, notice in this one, you don't have to worry about calling if it's increasing or decreasing because they already tell you it's a percent of decrease. So your job is just to write the proportion and solve it. So let's go ahead and pause the video and you try this on your own. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is subtract, right? So I'm going to take 82 minus the 74.50, and I'm going to get 7.5. The original amount was 82. What percent out of 100? So that should have been your proportion there. So we're going to go ahead and cross multiply the 7.5 times 100 and get 750. I'm going to take the 82 times x and get 82x. So now I'm going to take 750 divided by 82, and x equals 9.146, okay? So now there's no direction here on this particular problem about what to round to. So real quickly, let's talk about your different options because you might see a little bit of all of it, okay? So if it says the nearest hundredth, all right, nearest hundredth, that would be 9.15, okay? So hundredths, that's 2 decimal places. If I say the nearest tenth, you're looking at this guy. This 5 is moving the 1 up. Just like here, this 6 moved the 4 up. That's why it became a 5. This 5 will move it to a 2, so you get 9.2. That would be the nearest tenth. And then if they say the nearest whole, well, 2 doesn't move it up, so it would be 9% if it asks for the nearest whole. So you just need to make sure that you read directions to tell about where you need to round it off to, okay? All right, let's go ahead and flip pages here. Okay, so on the back side here, example 3, okay? It's the exact same thing you just did, but we're going to find a percent of increase, percent of increase. So go ahead and pause the video, and let's take a minute and try to see if we can figure that out. Okay, so we started with an electric guitar at $295. So $295 was your original number. When you subtract $340 and $295, you get $45 between them, X out of 100. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. And we're going to get 4,500 when we do that here, when we multiply that. And then on this side, we're going to get 295x. So now we're going to divide 4,500 divided by 295. And x equals 15.254. So again, just real quick, let's talk about our different roundings. So if I said the nearest hundredth, okay, this 4 would keep it the same, so you don't move that 5, so it's going to be 15.25. Now, if I ask for the nearest tenth, right, tenth, that's 1, this 5 is going to move that up, so it's going to become 15.3, or if I say the nearest whole, it would be 15. So since the directions didn't specify, technically any of those would have been correct, okay? All right, that concludes our notes for lesson 210.